All right, guys, we are back with another lesson today. And today we are going to cover something that I mentioned we are going to cover in a last video. Another video before we covered stunt parts, and now I'm going to be covering stunt parts that we use to better our wheelies. Before I covered like protection on our motorcycle. Now I'm going to be talking about stunt parts, and I guess I'll just say tricks at the bottom. Parentheses with my great handwriting. These are going to be parts that help unlock new wheelie tricks on your motorcycle. Number one is going to be I always forget to put rear here, rear handbrake. This is going to allow you to completely take your foot off the rear foot brake. Like I always say, it is extremely important to use your rear foot brake. Once you have a rear handbrake, you're adding a completely new separate rear brake system that you have control with your left hand, which is cool. It's next to your clutch lever. So this will now, as you can begin to use your imagination, you can jump on your seat, you can take your feet off, there's so many things you can do now when you have a rear handbrake. So those can get a little pricey depending on where you get it, what kind of setup. You can get a Brembo, a more expensive one, a Magura. It depends on what you prefer. Currently on my 2015 Yamaha FZ07, I do not have a handbrake. I do not have a stunt setup on it because I just liked riding it stock for a while, but I am gonna put a setup back on it because it does unlock a lot more opportunities for tricks and fun things on the bike. Another thing you can get, which I actually have on the way for my FZ07, I got it from a company called Top Stitch. I believe they're based in Chicago, but I got a rear, they call it a tandem seat, but I'm gonna call it it's just basically a rear, I'm just gonna call it a stunt seat. I know it probably has a technical term, but it has a hole in it. It's like a step through seat. It's it's your rear passenger seat, and you cut a hole into it so you can step through it. And then there's companies that'll stitch it up and make it look really nice. So I have one on the way. I'll actually make a video of that later on in one of these videos. But these are things so far you can do more tricks with your rear stunt seat. Now you can put your foot in your seat, step up on your seat instead of just sitting down, or knee knockers, things like that. Another thing that you can add is you can customize your gas tank. And this is going to be for things like high chairs, what we call it, or froggers, I believe they're called. Depending on the bike, it's nice to be able to jump up on your gas tank. So a lot of times we'll weld little loops in it. I can't draw, but let's say this is your gas tank. This is the rear of your motorcycle over here. You'll kind of like weld a little, almost like it doesn't look anything like that. It looks much nicer like that than that. But if these are your handlebars on your motorcycle, this is your seat in the rear, you can like take your butt off of the seat here and jump it up onto the gas tank and have a little pocket to sit on, do tricks, maybe high chair wheelies, things like that. And then you can jump on your tank. It's just, you can look it up. It's kind of cool. You can customize your tank. A lot of companies make them. You can actually just replace your whole tank or bolt parts on. So these so far are just things you can add to your bike to unlock a lot of tricks. Another thing you can add is a 12 bar, and I'm going to slash that with a sub cage because now you have pegs on the back. You can stand on the 12 bar, you can stand on the pegs, you can switch feet on different pegs, things like that. So this unlocks a ton of opportunity for different tricks, different ideas, different things you can do, especially when you pair it with a handbrake. I mean, all these things, once you get a handbrake, if you pair a handbrake with a stunt seat, a custom tank, a 12 bar, there's so many things you can start doing, especially once you piece all of these things together. You can really begin to unlock all kinds of cool tricks you never thought you could do. Another thing, you can get idle adjuster. Wow, I am going to completely rewrite that. My brain got so far ahead of me, I didn't even know what I was spelling there. Idle adjuster. What this is you have full control. Did I spell that right? I think so, yeah, I did. You have full control over your RPMs, your idle. You can crank it up, crank it down. So if you want to do no hand wheelies, you can crank the idle up. So the bike without throttle input keeps the RPMs high. You can take your hands off. This helps with just kind of smoothing out your throttle. So it just helps. You can just dial in your idle where you want your RPMs to sit mid-wheelie. So that's also helpful as well. These are just some of the things, the main things to keep in mind. Do some research. There's a lot of companies where you can get a lot of this stuff done. You can even do a lot of custom work yourself if you are the type, which is totally cool. But with all that being said, we are going to hop out on the FZ07. I'm going to gear up, go on a private road, show you guys some wheelies, talk a little bit more about the parts, where they go, where they'd sit. I also have a in-depth wheelie course. You can learn how to wheelie in about 8 modules, and it's about a total of 16 lessons. It's in the description. So if you want to check that out, you probably can't even read that, but 8 modules, 16 lessons. It'll teach you how to wheelie and get to balance point, past balance point quickly. I promise you, as long as you follow everything, get through it, you'll be wheeling safely. Also, use promo code School of Wheelie on cardosystems.com to get 10% off a Cardo if you like it. Best system I've ever used my helmets. I like it. I love it. I listen to music, talk to friends, all that fun stuff. So anyway, let's gear up, get the FZ be outside. I'm gonna show you a little bit more where these stunt parts would go on your bike, what they're used for and things like that. So let's get into it. All right guys, so we are out on the FZ07, hanging out outside. We're gonna go over a few of the stunt parts I was just telling you about, things that'll help you be able to accomplish more wheelie variations, wheelie tricks, different things like that. So some of the things we covered, a huge one, which is the anchor of them all, is a handbrake, a rear handbrake, which goes on the left side over here. I brought that up to you guys, and it normally is going to mount on the left side of your bar. So you'll have your clutch and your handbrakes. Normally you have like a 1-finger clutch somewhere here, and your middle finger you'll have a brake lever here, and that's going to have a brake line running all the way to a second set of brakes that'll mount up here, something like that. It's a whole setup you have to buy though. Normally you can't just set it up on the factory setup, because that's only made for one caliper. So look those up. There's different ones you can get, different companies make them. Just look up a rear handbrake and start doing your research. That's one of the biggest things to unlock more tricks while learning how to do wheelies on your motorcycle. Another one of the things that I covered was like a 12 bar on the back or sub cage, which also protects your bike, as you saw in other videos I've made. You can use them for standing on the 12 bar, standing on the pegs, doing different variations with your feet, things like that. It's kind of fun, kind of cool. Just opens up a lot more opportunity. Another one that I told you about that I have on the way is like a step-through seat. This is your passenger seat on the rear. A lot of times you can cut a hole through it, and then your foot can fit in there, so you can actually stand on this while you're up in a wheelie. You could have your right foot down here on the rear brake, have your left foot in the seat here, so you can stand up and do tricks like that. Again, opens up a few more options and different variations you can do mid-wheelie. It's kind of fun. Another one you can do, like I said, depending on your bike, is get a bit of a lip on your gas tank. So the FZ07, I believe there are attachments, I've thought about buying some myself, that bolt onto the existing tank and have a lip here, so you can kind of sit on the tank, you can stand on the tank, do high chairs, things like that. High chairs are when you're sitting kind of up here on the tank with your legs over the windscreen in a wheelie, and you're going to have to obviously have a rear handbrake for that, because when both legs are up in the air, you no longer have access to your rear foot brake. So those are kind of some of the main things you can add to your motorcycle, the rear handbrake being one of the biggest, most important ones to be able to throw all kinds of different tricks down and things like that. So definitely keep that in mind. They're a little bit expensive, but again, this video is just kind of to bring to your attention, if you're a newer rider beginning to learn how to wheelie, because that's what this channel is for, to give you some ideas and things to open up your wheelie opportunities and things like that. But I would recommend always learning your rear foot brake first, so you are familiar with how the brake works. So once you do get a rear handbrake on your left side, you're able to have a little bit better control over it, right? Because right now for me, I don't even have a rear handbrake, but I'm able to just clutch up and do a wheelie with my stock factory rear foot brake whenever I want, just like right now, right? So those are just things to keep in mind, things to think about. Because if you don't know how to wheelie in general, that one was a little bit snappy. Once you get your handbrake, you're gonna still have to learn how to wheelie anyway. So this is why we pick private roads like this. These guys, I think, are watching the wheelie. That's funny. But you gotta pick private roads like this to practice on, get good at. I mean, you can go buy all the stunt stuff right away if you want, but again, when we're learning, trying to get good at this stuff, I would always recommend learn that rear foot brake. I have videos on that, and I have the wheelie course in the description if you want to really dive into wheelies and learn from the ground up, because they can be a lot of fun. They can be tricky to learn at first, but a lot of it is just kind of intimidating at the end of the day. But once you get past the fear of a wheelie in general, you'll be able to pick this stuff up pretty quickly. That's just kind of how it goes. So I want to thank you guys for watching the video. Per usual, if you're going to go practice this stuff, wear your gear and go on a private road somewhere where you have permission to ride with no traffic. And I will see you guys next video.